shared. We want to be having shared prosperity like Norway, like Switzerland. So as we seek to leverage transformative technologies, we must remember we are seeking inclusive development. We are seeking shared prosperity, which is absent in Germany, which is absent in America, absent in France. Here is a measure of our problems: inequality. The Gini coefficient is the measure of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And you can see we are in South Africa today. South Africa is the worst in the world, the most unequal society in the world. What can we do using transformative technologies to make South Africa more equal? 67%, that's the number. That's the number for South Africa. The Gini coefficient, the measure of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Most of the countries in the global south are characterized by a large number for the Gini coefficient. Inequality. What can we do using artificial intelligence? What can we do using transformative technologies to improve our Gini coefficients? In particular, South Africa, which is the most unequal country in the world. Now, one could say, well, but these countries are very different. They're heterogeneous. Why would you study them together? Why are you putting China, India, Gambia, South Africa, Zimbabwe together? They're very different. We are saying, yes, we understand that the countries are at different stages of development. China, India, Malawi, Ghana, but we want to study them together so they can learn from each other. China was able to move 800 million people out of poverty in 40 years. What can we learn from that? What did they do in China in 40 years to be able to move 800 million people out of poverty? Right now, the Chinese are driving AI, the Indians are moving. What can we learn from India, from Singapore, is South Africa, is Malawi? What can South Africa learn from Rwanda around AI? So yes, we accept the heterogeneity within the global south, but we think that studying them together is a unique opportunity for these countries to learn from each other. Zambia learning from South Africa, Zambia learning from Singapore, Zambia learning from Bangladesh. That is the rationale behind the term Global South. That is the rationale behind studying them together so that we can learn from each other. For example, in the book that I've just done, I have 10 case studies, 5 from Africa, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and Mauritius. Then outside Africa, in the global south, I have India, China, Singapore, Malaysia, and UAE. So among those 10, we can study and learn and be able to drive Rwanda, be able to drive South Africa. So that is the rationale behind studying them together. But of course, we're in Africa. So as part of the Global South, our special interest is, of course, Africa, the 1.4 billion people. How can we use transformative technologies to improve the quality of life of those 1.4 billion people? And by the way, for us to survive, for us to be able to have an impact under globalization, under the AI revolution, under the revolution brought by transformative technologies, we must work together as a continent. We need the numbers. South Africa is too small an economy to be consequential within the AI revolution. Nigeria is too small to be meaningful under the AI revolution. Botswana, Zimbabwe, the same. Yes, let us work on our structures within South Africa, within Rwanda, but we must work towards the region and make the region work. ECOWAS must work, East African Community must work, SADC must work, but more importantly, the African Union, the African continent. Can you imagine if I was to rock up and say, here come, I'm the African. I speak on behalf of 1.4 billion people. Behind me, I have a collective GDP of $3.1 trillion. The Chinese will listen to me, not out of love, out of economics. The Americans will listen to me, not out of love, out of economics. If I was to walk up and say, here I come, I'm the African. I speak on behalf of 1.4 billion people, and behind me, I have a GDP of $3.1 trillion. They won't even ask me any questions about democracy. They'll just say, hey, can we make a deal? They'll talk about making a deal. What we're emphasizing is that if we're going to leverage transformative technologies, we need scale. We need economies of scale. So yes, let us make our country succeed, but keep your eyes on the prize. The prize is the continent working as a colossus of 1.4 billion people, a colossus defined by $3.1 trillion. Even better, why don't we talk to our diaspora so that we have the global Africa agenda with 2.2 billion people, collective GDP, $5 trillion. That is the dream. That is the aspiration of using technology. As we do this, we must also remember that we have a lot of muscle. We have a lot of ability. And sometimes people, they misrepresent us to undermine us. Dean Naidu, this is what you taught us in primary school. This is wrong, Dean. How can 7,200 be smaller than 6,400? This is the map, the classical map. But that map is pejorative. That map is undermining our confidence. We are bigger than that as Africa. Anyway, we are dramatizing that. By land mass, we're much bigger than what we are told by the former colonizers and the current colonizers. 7,200 is much bigger than 6,400. As we proceed and seek to use transformative technologies to drive our economies, let us all remember that we are actually stronger than we are said to be. We have a lot of land mass. All those countries can fit into Africa. USA, China, India. So we are dramatizing our land mass, which means in terms of agriculture, mining, infrastructure, there's potential because we are massive. Beyond that, any mineral you can think of, we have. Look at our vast land mass, our vast natural resource base. We are saying as we leverage transformative technologies, we must also know our strengths. Why don't we use transformative technologies to unlock value from our natural resources, to drive beneficiation, to drive value addition, to drive trade? We're not starting from zero. We have a good baseline. Let us understand that baseline as we look at technology. When we say transformative technology, what are we talking about? You know, there's a big issue now with AI, but always remember, AI is a part of a major ecosystem of technologies: mobile telephony, 5G, ultra-fast fixed broadband, getting up to 10G, digital transformation, big data analytics, e-commerce, cybersecurity, blockchain technology. These technologies are related, but we're saying it's not just AI, it's beyond AI. Blockchain, for example, is a major technology that can be used to drive economies of the global south. Renewable energy. You know, the issue is not the panels. The issue is storage. You know, every night before you go to bed, you have to charge your phone. All of us. Can you imagine if we were to discover a battery that lasts for a month? You charge once a month. There is a lot of work being done right now under what's called battery energy storage systems. Because once we succeed with that, it will be revolutionary. The sun, if we're able to just store 2% of the energy from the sun a day, we'll never need any fossil fuels. So our storage systems are very weak right now. We can harvest through the panels, but the batteries storing the energy are very weak. So it's a major revolution right now around battery energy storage system. When we have the sun in Africa. So I want us to be aware of those technologies. Fintech, of course, agri-tech, of course, smart and high-tech in mining, smart logistics, cryptocurrency. I'm emphasizing that these are the transformative technologies that we as Africans must start getting involved in, studying and leveraging to drive our economies. Healthcare innovations, synthetic biology, major revolution. I'll say a bit about that. Nanotechnology, where you're designing at the level of 10 power minus 9 in terms of nanotechnology. Quantum computing, a major revolution. I'll say a bit about that. Internet of Things, cloud AI, edge AI, augmented reality. We are saying there is a lot going on. Why don't we as Africans be participants in the creation of transformative technologies? Why don't we as Africans be participants in leveraging these technologies to solve our problems? Quantum is a major one because it's going to change the way you do computing. It's about an interface between quantum, between physics, computer science, and mathematics, and a field called quantum mechanics. This is going to change even the language. Right now we say gigabytes, megabytes, wrong language. We talk about qubits. It's a new world altogether. And why are we saying this? It's going to be 1 million times faster than your current computer. When it's slower, 10,000 times faster. When you're doing encryption, when you do encryption, for example, if you have an encrypted system, you can spend a whole year trying to decode it, and you succeed after a year. Quantum will take 5 minutes. So even encryption is going to change. This is like computing on steroids. Not yet done. But when it occurs, it's going to change everything, your TV, your phone, your computer. What I am saying is, why doesn't the Global South start thinking about quantum? How they're going to use it, how they can also help develop it, because it's coming. It's coming. And you can compare it with classical, and you can see that it's exponential in terms of its impact. Now, what we're saying today in this lecture is that when you combine AI plus quantum, it's another revolution altogether, which we can't even contemplate right now. Right now, AI is making waves. Quantum is still being developed, not yet mature. But when it matures, it's going to be a very major revolution. And things like AGI, which I'll talk about later, and super intelligence will be easier to achieve with quantum. So quantum is going to be an enabler for AI. What are we doing at UJ? What are we doing in South Africa to prepare for quantum computing? What are we doing to prepare for the combination of AI and quantum? That's what we're trying to do today. Synthetic biology. Then this one is an interesting one. We are combining biology and engineering, creating synthetic DNA, creating synthetic proteins, doing gene editing. What are we doing? We're constructing new biological systems. We're redesigning existing biological systems. We are reinventing organisms that died a long time ago, which went through extinction. This on its own is a major technology. In healthcare, you can apply it. In agriculture, you can apply it. In the environment. Gene editing, where you can also say you have, a person, and then you edit out the bad genes. So the next person will only have the good stuff. So we look at Taylor and say, Taylor is a superstar, but there are some good things about Taylor. There's some ugly ones. So we do some gene editing, we remove the ugly ones. So the next Taylor will be Taylor with only the positive aspects. 2.0. Oh, a Taylor 2.0. Anyway, but on its, forget AI, on its own, it's a major transformative technology. Combined with AI, you can't even begin to think about the future. When you combine synthetic biology and AI, we can't even predict. There are so many unknown unknowns. I am saying, let us prepare, let us understand the nature. There's a book out there about this from Mustafa, The Coming Wave, where he talks about combining AI and synthetic biology. We want to use this technology in Africa. One could say, but why are you worried about this advanced science? Don't you have to worry about HIV, AIDS, water, poverty? Guess what? We can leapfrog. Remember when mobile telephone came through? We had no communication in Africa, in most of our countries. We moved from no communication to mobile communication. We had no brick and mortar banking in most of our countries. We moved from no banking to mobile banking. So don't lose heart that the science is very advanced. If we're clever, if we're organized, if we're innovative, we leapfrog and move from no technology to super technology. The question is, which technology can we do that? Always remember the mobile telephony example, where we had no phones, from no phones to cell phones. We had no banks, from no banks to mobile banking. Some of this advanced science is more applicable, cheaper to apply, and more effective in the global south than in the north, because we don't have what are called legacy issues. Can you imagine when mobile telephony came through, London had wires everywhere, New York had wires everywhere. So they impose mobile on top of wires. Then you take a village in Dotito, there were no wires. Mpumalanga, no wires. So you could easily go wireless. Mm-hmm. So the lack of infrastructure, the lack of development, poverty can be an opportunity to go high science. So that's why we are interested in these things. Blockchain, another major one. This is very important because it allows you to have decentralized, immutable digital ledger that securely put in your records, your transactions, and with major components. Number one, a decentralized ledger, immutable records, transparency and security, smart contracts. Applicable in trade, applicable in the way you run elections, applicable in finance. That is a transformative technology. What can we do in South Africa by leveraging blockchain technology? What can we do in Rwanda to leverage this technology? That's what we're trying to address in this thing. Cryptocurrency, another major technology. It's a digital currency, which is based on blockchain. Now, this is a decentralized way of doing finance. Right now, we have the central bank, we have SAP. Under this technology, there will be no central bank in South Africa. The governor will be unemployed. We don't need SAP. What are we doing to leverage decentralized finance? What are we doing to leverage cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum? Again, these are technologies which we can use to improve financial inclusion, to improve the quality of life in the global south. That's what we talk about. But of course, in all these things, the major technology is AI. And I'll spend more time on AI. But remember, AI is a part of a larger ecosystem of technologies. But at the moment, it is the key driver. Most of these things are using AI, so I'll spend more time on AI. What we mean by AI, we're basically talking about the development and deployment of computer systems of machines that can perform tasks requiring human-like intelligence. Things that you and I take for granted. Learning in a machine, problem solving in a machine, decision making in a computer system. If we can have those capacities in a computer software, in a computer system, in a robot, we have AI, learning, problem solving, decision making. That's all. ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok 3, DeepSeek R1, they are solving problems for you. They are doing decision making. They are learning. That is the essence of artificial intelligence. In terms of the broad categories of AI, what we call the taxonomy of AI, we start with very simple task AI. And the AI system that does a very simple thing. Give it a go, it does it. That's the most basic. Then when it become more complicated, we have what's called agentic AI. It's now autonomous, it's making decisions, it's pursuing multiple goals. That's the next stage of complexity in AI. Then we have generative AI, which all of you are familiar with because you're playing around with ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. Generative AI is about creating new text, creating new knowledge, creating new diagrams, creating new videos, the creation of new wisdom. This is the major driver right now of AI. And you see when I talk about the economics, most of the productivity is coming from generative AI. That's the major driver. In the last 2-3 years, that's why there's been an exponential rise in AI. It is because of that animal called generative AI. And the examples you are familiar with, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok 3, DeepSeek R1. And DeepSeek R1, we like it because it's coming from China. These other guys were very expensive, millions and millions of dollars, so much energy, 100 PhDs on one program. The Chinese did it at a fraction of the cost, with less energy. What it says to the global south, it can be done. And by the way, my major message to the global south is that we must deploy transformative technologies to improve the quality of life of our people. That's number one. Number two, we must also build and develop transformative technologies. So what the Chinese did is what we want in Africa, to build AI systems. They built DeepSeek R1, which is as good as those guys at a fraction of the cost. So it can be done in South Africa, it can be done in Rwanda. Generative AI. It gets more complicated. Artificial general intelligence. Now we are saying, can we have a computer system? Can we have a robot with multiple capabilities? Just like you. You can walk, you can talk, you can play soccer, you can swim. Can we have a machine that does all those things? You see most of the robots we have right now, it does the talking, it does the analysis, or it walks. We are saying, why can't we have all those things in one machine? Artificial general intelligence, multiple types of intelligence in the same machine. Not yet achieved, work in progress. Artificial general intelligence. It's one thing to just have intelligence to do one thing and the other, but that one, AGI, is harder. It's work in progress, not yet achieved. It gets even more interesting, super intelligence. Now, in here we are saying, what is going to happen when the AI is smarter than the smartest human being? When the robot is smarter than the smartest human being, smarter than Einstein, smarter than Newton in terms of IQ, smarter than Bill Gates, smarter than Elon Musk. What are the implications of that? And the interesting thing is that once you have one agent, which is super intelligent, getting 1 million is trivial. Replication in AI is very trivial. If you build one system, getting 100, getting 1 million, now get 1 billion super intelligent agents. How are we going to control them? I know you have a cat at home and you look after the cat because you're smarter than the cat. I know you have a dog, you have a donkey. What if the robot is smarter than you? Who's going to look after what? Why do you assume that you can look after someone who's smarter than you? Not yet done. Not yet, but we must start. There are many philosophers here and sociologists. What will be the implications of that? That's a project for you. What are the implications of superintelligence to society? Not yet done. That is called singularity. When the machine becomes smarter, it's singularity. And then with singularity, also have intentionality. You know, intentionality says, the machine now says, I know you programmed me, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to. I've got an intention. I'm going to defy the coder. I'm sure you saw on TV recently where an AI was refusing to be decommissioned and going against the engineer. Okay? It's going to come a time when actually, as a property of the AI system, there's intentionality. When the machine says, no, today I'm not doing it because I don't want to. I have intention. Not yet done, but we must start thinking about what it means. I want us to intentionally talk about intelligence. We must always remember the nature of the beast. Deep learning is a part of machine learning. Machine learning is a part of AI. So that you don't say, for example, I'm studying machine learning and AI. It's like, I'm going to Africa and South Africa. No, I'm going to Africa, in particular South Africa. Because South Africa is Africa, in Africa. So you can say, I'm studying machine learning, which is part of AI. I'm studying AI, in particular machine learning. So I want you to understand the nature, the relatedness of things. Okay, the same applies to neural networks, deep learning is inside, and so on. You know, when you say ChatGPT, for example, it's part of GPT-4, part of large language models, and so on until. So the big mother of everything is AI. All these are subsets of AI right up to ChatGPT. Just that we're familiar with the language. Okay, these are the most popular AI systems, and as I said earlier on, DeepSeek is very interesting. I suppose it's coming from the global south, but you can see the domination of the global north in this game, and that's the whole arena of these large language models. Okay. Why are we talking about leveraging transformative technology? Why? Because there's serious money involved. And I'm going to use AI as an example. AI currently in the year 2025, the prediction is that it's going to add $11 trillion to global GDP. This is massive. What we're simply saying today in this seminar is, what can we do to ensure that the people in the global south have a piece of that pie? The people in Africa have a piece of that pie. The people in South Africa it's a lot of potential. If we're not careful, that money will go to Europe and America. We never experienced the $4 trillion. Why is this happening? You can ask, why is AI producing so much money? Because of productivity. Productivity per person has shot up. The key driver of economics in AI is because of its impact on productivity, its impact on efficiency, its impact on innovation. That's what we call the economics of AI. What can we do to ensure that the global south also benefit from the economics of AI? That's why we do that. And the reason why there's so much money in AI, it is because of the staggering impact of AI on productivity, or productivity per person has shot up 10 times, 11 times. So that's why we're having 10% of global GDP coming from one technology. Just to dramatize the impact of AI, this is Goldman Sachs. 95% of the work, the sophisticated work they're doing is not done by machine. Only 5% is done by human being. This work used to take 6 people in multiple weeks. Now it's done in minutes by an AI system. Can you imagine? And remember, Goldman Sachs, they do complicated work. What about your not so complicated work, my brother? This is IPO prospectus building is done in minutes. Why? Because 95% of the work is now done by machine. Only 5% will require human being. This is why there's so much interest in AI right now, because of the impact on productivity. That's why America is investing, Europe is investing, the Chinese are putting billions and billions of dollars into AI. We want to benefit from this. So productivity gains, innovation, job transformation, there are also challenges. The risks that it will only benefit the global north. Okay? Double the productivity, 10 times productivity, that's what we're pushing for. So those are the ambitious projections. What can we do to ensure that the African can benefit from that $11 trillion? What can we do to ensure that the African can benefit from the $4 trillion? Just to make sure you understand how big those numbers are. The entire Japanese economy is equivalent to generative AI. The entire Japanese economy is just equivalent to one technology, one type of AI. That's how massive AI is. The entire Japanese economy is equivalent to generative AI. And us, when we're generous to ourselves, we're $3.1 trillion. So we are smaller than one type of AI. As a continent, our collective GDP is 3.1. And yet, generative AI is pushing 4.1 to the globe. Why can't we get even $500 billion into Africa so we can go up to $3.6 trillion? Don't assume that we're going to go up. We might even go down, depending on how we respond to the revolution. That $4 trillion will not come to us. That $11 trillion won't come to us. I'm dramatizing the case for our involvement. Look at our economy. South Africa, $400 billion. Nigeria, 362. Zimbabwe, we don't even mention, too small. Botswana. Can you compare those numbers with the impact of technology? We are simply saying, why don't you add a couple of billions into South Africa, into Nigeria, into Zimbabwe, by doing the right thing? So, I know among the blind, the one-eyed person is king. So, Nigeria and South Africa, they think they are big bowlers because they're swimming in a small pond. It's a small pond, Nigeria. It's a small pond, South Africa. You are nothing. You are small compared to generative AI. To zoom, you are big, right? Right. Those were ambitious numbers. There are people who are conservative. This is McKinsey and Company. This is PwC. They say, no, that's too ambitious. We project that we'll get about 15.7 from AI in 2030. This year, we get 7 trillion. Even those numbers are huge. This is the conservative side of it. If we are conservative, still those numbers are big. That number 7 is bigger than our collective GDP this year. So these are the conservative numbers. The ambitious was 11. The conservative is 7. And they're projecting 15.7 for 2030. This is a huge revolution. That's why it is that's a revolution there, even in conservative terms. Okay, that's conservative. So they give us 7 this year, and they give us 15 in 2030 from McKinsey. I know you worry about jobs. Jobs, yes. Dean, the jobs are going to die. We don't want to please each other nicely, yeah? It's called job displacement. Some jobs are going to die. It's called job displacement. But there's good news. Most of our jobs won't die. It's called job modification. Your job won't die, it will be modified. So make sure you're ready for the modified job. That's the good news. Job won't die, modified. Even better news, the creation of new jobs. Completely new jobs which didn't exist before. So number 1, job destruction. Number 2, job modification. Number 3, creation of new jobs. That's the job message from AI. You must reskill your job losers. Prepare and reskill them and retool them. You must reskill and prepare for the modified jobs. You must build new skills, new capabilities, new competencies to take advantage of the new jobs. Don't assume that you're going to benefit from the new jobs. This is the message to the Global South. Some of your jobs in the Global South are going to die. You must reskill your job losers. Your jobs are going to be there, but modified. You must prepare for the modified jobs. There will be some new jobs created in the Global South. Make sure you develop the skills, the capabilities, and competencies that are required to take the new jobs. And of course, continuous education and reskilling is required. That's the message around jobs for the Global South from transformative technology. The equation, there's an equation we must make sure is satisfied in the Global South. You and I in the Global South must ensure that our new jobs plus our modified jobs are much, much more than the destroyed jobs. In South Africa, if we're able to satisfy that equation, AI will be good for us. Transformative technology will be good for us. If our new jobs plus the modified jobs are much more than those destroyed, then we're good because there are more jobs. If you're not careful, it will be the reverse. The number of destroyed jobs will be more than the new jobs plus the modified jobs. Then AI, then transformative technologies will create unemployment in South Africa. We create unemployment in Africa, unemployment in the global south. Don't assume that AI will be a force for good. Don't assume that. You must work for it by ensuring the equation is satisfied. That's what I'm saying. What are the new jobs? Data scientists, machine learning engineers, software engineers, data engineers, AI researchers, AI domain experts, where you are an AI expert in agriculture, an AI expert in education, an AI expert in healthcare, an AI expert in finance. These are the new jobs. How many of them are we training at UJ? AI ethics, AI policy experts, AI prompt engineer. How many prompt engineers are we producing at UJ, at UCT, at WITS? None. We must change our curriculum in the global south if we're going to take advantage of the transformative technologies. It can't be business as usual. You must produce data engineers. You must produce domain experts. You must produce prompt engineers. A professional who specializes in designing, crafting, and optimizing prompts for AI models, particularly LLMs. That's a new job for South Africa, a new job for the global south. Are we preparing for that job? An AI project manager, an AI trainer, an AI teacher, an AI project manager, a meta software engineer, a Discord manager, a smart contract lawyer. These are not being produced at UJ or WITS or UCT. There is no smart contract lawyer being produced there. What is a smart contract lawyer? A specialist lawyer who can ensure that an agreement is made in the metaverse. As encoded in the blockchain layer, we don't have that. The curriculum must change so that we prepare for the new jobs, so that the job equation is satisfied, so that our new jobs plus our modified jobs are much, much more than the destroyed jobs. We have work to do in the global south. Okay? So about 25% will be destroyed. So that's the summary on the jobs. About 20% of the jobs will be destroyed. 50% new jobs will come on board. The majority won't be destroyed but modified. We must prepare for that majority in the global south. Some people even have a harsher view on jobs. Just a week ago, the CEO of Anthropic came up on CNN everywhere. He had this to say: AI will wipe 50% of all entry white-collar jobs, 50% in the next 5 years, to spike unemployment by 20% in the next 5 years. And he's saying that we must stop sugarcoating. And so there are people with very strong views on the job issue. I'm a bit more optimistic, but there are some people who are even harsher. And look at what he's saying. I'm hoping to jar the government and fellow AI companies into preparing and protecting the United States. This guy is talking about protecting America. Who's protecting Africa? Who's protecting the global south? That's why I wrote the book, Dean. No one is going to look after our interests. When it's a crisis, America looks after America. When it's a crisis, Europe looks after Europe. During COVID, what happened? The Europeans had 6 times the requirement of vaccines. 6 times the requirement. With 0. And they refused to share. We're not sure what's going to happen here. So we're going to keep 6 times what we need. Because it was a crisis. So what we're saying is, when you have a crisis like this revolution, the key players are thinking America. The key players are thinking about themselves. So he's picking this guy to prepare and protect the United States of America. Who is preparing and protecting the global South? Who is preparing and protecting Africa? Who is preparing and protecting South Africa? You and I have to do that. So that's why we wrote this book. Another CEO has said this about jobs. If there's a vacancy in the company, please don't hire a replacement. Come and prove to me that AI can do the job. Maybe Tina's going to do that. Come and prove to me that that job can't be done by AI. Only then can we hire a new person. So every vacancy, and that's a kind of way of firing people, right? There's a vacancy, we don't fill. It's a revolution. Tell me why I should hire a person. Tell me why AI can't do the job. Now, what are we saying? Here's the rough message we're saying to the University of Johannesburg, what we're saying to UCT, what we're saying to Wits, what we're saying to Harvard. Don't show me your certificate. Show me what you can do. We're no longer interested in your little MBA from Harvard, your PhD from UJ, your electrical engineering degree from Wits. I could care less. Show me what you can do. Don't show me your degree. What are your skills? What are your capabilities? What can you do for MTN? What can you do for Standard Bank? What can you do for Anglo? Skills, capabilities, competencies. So as we produce these graduates, Comrade Dean, we must make sure we empower them with some skills, some capabilities, some competencies that are required in the revolution, in addition to the little degree you give them. So yes to the little degree, but plus skills. Show me what you can do. Don't show me your certificate. What are we saying? What do we mean by the skills? Problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, learning how to learn, learning how to unlearn, learning how to relearn. Are you teaching that, comrade philosopher? Are you teaching that? Learning how to learn, learning how to unlearn, learning how to relearn. Financial literacy, digital skills, AI literacy, entrepreneurial skills, knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is the beginning of wisdom. Are you giving them that knowledge of self? Are you providing a mindset shift? Because most of our problems in the Global South is about mindset. We need a can-do mentality. We need possibility thinkers. We need self-confidence. We need self-awareness. We need self-respect. We need self-belief. So when we are done at UJ, all our graduates must have these skills. Otherwise, they are uncooked. We are demanding that every graduate from UJ, every graduate from UCT, from Wits, must have a course in financial literacy, must have gone through a course in entrepreneurship. Every one of them. If you're studying history, studying law, studying engineering, you must do financial literacy as a requirement. You must do AI skills as a requirement. You must do entrepreneurship as a requirement. So when you are done with UJ, when you're done with UCT, you have financial literacy under your belt, you have entrepreneurship under your belt, you have AI skills under your belt, then we can talk. Then we call you a graduate. Otherwise, you're not in this field, in this area where we're talking about transformative technologies. Why are we saying this, Dean? You must make sure that your graduates at UJ are employable. How many of those graduates from UCT, from Pretoria, are employable? Are you measuring employability? That which is measured gets done. If you can't measure it, you can manage it. So we must have a system in the global south of measuring employability of our graduates. More importantly, we must make sure our products are able to go out there and create jobs, create companies, create industries, entrepreneurs. We must measure how many entrepreneurs we've produced as UCT, as UG, UJ, as VIS. The mandate of the academy must be changed to target employability and entrepreneurship. Human capital developers, such as universities, must measure employability, must measure the capacity to create jobs. This is how we can leverage transformative technologies in the global south, by ensuring that our products in the academy are employable. Our products in the academy can create jobs. That's what we want. Remember, emphasize that number one, we must create AI systems in addition to using them. But there's another interesting thing, which is the hardware. When you say AI is run on hardware. There are chips that are running these things. It's not run on air. There are chips, the CPUs, the GPUs, and so on. If we're going to benefit in the global south, we must also play in the semiconductor industry.
There is no reason for us to pay for everything outside.
GPT or Grok, it's being run on a machine, on a hardware system in Silicon Valley. Why can't we have some of that hardware in Africa? Some of that hardware in South Africa? Who is producing these chips? How much money are they making from making these chips? If the world is dominated by Taiwan semiconductor company, manufacturing company, and NVIDIA. These are the key companies. The material fabrication is TSMC from Taiwan. Then NVIDIA, they focus on the AI chips. AI is run on hardware. It is being dominated by NVIDIA. Just to make sure you understand why I'm saying we must have a piece of that pie. Look at the numbers. This company called NVIDIA. It's just one company in the US. On the 19th of June 2024, their market capitalization was $3.34 trillion. They don't do AI systems and AI, they just build the chips, the computer chip, the GPU, the NPU, the CPU. That's what they do. $3.34 trillion. Ahead of Microsoft, ahead of Apple. On that day, they're the biggest company in the world. Today, they're fluctuating. They're number 2, number 3, number 2. What I'm saying is, if we're going to benefit in the global south, yes, we're going to use AI. Yes, we're going to build AI systems, but we must also play in this space. Where are the minerals coming from? The minerals are coming from the DRC, from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, rare earth minerals, critical metals. Why can't we leverage our mineral base to partner with NVIDIA, to partner with the Taiwanese, so that we have a piece of that pie? Just to show you how big that number is. That company is bigger than the GDP of France, bigger than Russia, bigger than Canada, bigger than Brazil. Just a company that does hardware. That's what they do. Of course, they're bigger than us. It's a magnificent $3.1 trillion. We're smaller than one AI company. So we are saying, as the global south, we want a piece of that pie. We want a piece of that $3.34 trillion. The way we are going to leverage transformative technologies will include 3 things: using AI, building AI systems, and number 3, participating in the hardware space. It's harder, but why don't you be creative? Why don't you work together and say, we have the minerals in the DRC, we have the minerals in South Africa, can we partner? The minerals you need for your batteries, the minerals you need for these chips are from our countries. Can we partner? The participation and leverage of transformative technology will not be complete unless we also are players in the semiconductor industry. Just to dramatize, mining is a big thing, right? In the global south. Compare the big mining companies with NVIDIA. BHP, the biggest mining company in the world, is like a dwarf compared to NVIDIA. This is in $1 billion. at $1.46 billion, they are small compared to NVIDIA. This company, all they do are chips for AI. Chips for AI. So yes, we're going to continue with our mining sector, but if we don't play in that space, we've got a problem. That's why everyone's talking about AI. It's big money. If one company can be bigger than all the mining companies in the world, one AI company that does only hardware, that's why everyone and their grandmother are talking about AI today. It's because of this money. Donald Trump goes to Middle East, AI. Goes to Europe, AI. It's because of that. It's serious money. Now, lest we forget about AI systems. They're not neutral, these things. We are optimizing solutions. And when you optimize, you have to answer, what are your values? This is where values are important. Ethics are important because when you do AI systems, your values are going into the programs. Your ethics are going to the programs. They are not neutral, these things. They got the values of the creator. So we must know that. So that's why we should also build our own AI systems. Because when they're done by white males in Silicon Valley, it means the views of women are not there, the values of women are not there, the values of Africans are not there. Let's have diverse teams creating AI systems in Silicon Valley. But more importantly, why don't we do it ourselves? So we can put our values into these things as well. Okay? Values they reflect what you think is important. Western versus African values. You know, we have our own value. We also have our own philosophy. I am because we are because I am. Munu ngevanu, Ubuntu. It's not there in AI systems because the programmers don't know about it. So when you write the code, you're going to put Ubuntu into AI systems. So I'm emphasizing the issue of values. They are not neutral, these things. You know, when the book by Kissinger was launched by Isaacson said, we must make sure these AI systems are values, our American values, not Chinese values. So which shows the Americans, as they push AI, they are also clear that they must have their values in there. And the Chinese are not Father Christmas. They also have a view. If you go to DeepSeek R1 and ask it, go to do it tonight. Can you tell me about Tiananmen Square? What happened? Oh, yeah. What were the issues? Yeah. It will say, I'm supposed to be an assistant. I don't talk about bad things. So the Chinese AI system won't discuss Tiananmen Square because they don't want to talk about that. It's a bad page in the history. What I'm saying is everybody has an agenda. The Chinese have an agenda. The Americans, it's only us who don't have an agenda. So when let's use the technology, but you must know that the people who create these things have an agenda. You must have your own AI systems. Okay? When you do the programming, these are the values. You could be pushing for productivity, pushing for efficiency, that's of course, but you can also talk about health and safety, customer experience, customer satisfaction, relationships, which are big in our environment, sustainability and environment. So we are saying an AI system is not neutral. If you are the programmer, you decide what to optimize. If you believe in health and safety, you make it a premium. But if you just want profitability and efficiency, you might ignore the other stuff. We are saying these AI systems are not neutral, they are value-driven. The question is what value? It's up to you, the programmer. It's up to you, the programmer. Okay? For example, you could do this if you're doing Uber, but I won't go into that. So what are we emphasizing? The three things, and please, I'm emphasizing because I want you to remember there are three things. Use transformative technologies. Build transformative technologies. Also play in the space of hardware. That's what we're pushing for. But as we do this, Comrade Dean, we must not put the cart before the horse. There are some fundamentals we need to get in place before enjoying the fruits of AI. Awareness. Are we even aware of AI? Are we aware of the benefits and the dangers? So we must work on awareness in South Africa, awareness